Hey, Mike Edwards here. Today, um, today is a beautiful day. It's Thursday morning where I am. Lots going on that is so fulfilling, and the weather outside is beautiful. Not too hot and humid like it has been, and yet it's very sunny. It's just wonderful. So today, I want to build on what I've been talking about over the last few weeks, because one of the biggest topics I'm seeing in my reading, in my discussions, in my watching of other people are doing this, I see a lot about the return to the office. I think at one point I called it returning to work. We've been working this whole time. Lots of people have. So it's a return to the office, and there's a lot of debate out there about what the right answer is. Now you get Apple, for example, who's mandating their teams come back 3 days a week. I saw one post last week, which I talked about, where the CEO of a downtown Toronto landlord is saying bank CEOs need to grow a backbone and order their people back to work. They need to show some leadership. Well, if you ask me, I think they are showing leadership in what they're doing by not ordering their people back to work. And then you can swing the pendulum all the way over to the other way. And you have Dan Price, who's the CEO of Gravity Payments. He's done some pretty innovative things when it comes to his companies and how people are compensated and all those kinds of things. And what he said about work from this whole return to the office or work from home is do what makes sense for you. So such a wide variety of ideas and things. So it's also not hard to find articles out there that really paint a doom and gloom kind of picture when it comes to getting the right answer. You know, if you try to force your people back to work, you're going to lose them. If you leave them at home, you know, everybody has an opinion on this. Here's what I believe, regardless of which side of this discussion that you find yourself as an employee or as one of the leaders, regardless of what level of leader. Here's what I believe is that the way we're going to figure out the right thing, the way to find your way through this is through flexibility. You know, the title of this, I called it, The World Has Changed, ... have you. The thing is, we've all changed. And I think I know we need to approach this with an open mind. Through that, I think what I know is companies are going to find their right answer. So where you are, wherever you work, whoever you work for, your right answer might be work from home 5 days a week, forever. Your right answer might be work from home 3, come into the office 2, right? There can be some benefit to that. It might be, no, we really need to be back in the office full time. Whatever it is, if we all approach this with flexibility to our beliefs, to what we want to get out of it, I know that you can find that answer. So here's 3 things that can help you when it comes to being flexible, because being flexible can be a challenge, right? Especially if you're feeling under pressure to deliver, to have good quality, whatever it is. Flexibility can be challenging because it means things could be constantly changing. So 3 things I want to offer you to help with flexibility. Here's the first one. Lead yourself first. So what does that mean? That means you have a level of self-awareness. You know what your fears are. Because quite often decisions like this, whether you're on the you're the employee or you're the manager, decisions like this can invoke our fears. So if a leader, for example, one of the managers, if the leader has a fear that people won't work hard unless I can see them, right? It's a fear of the unknown, of the uncertainty, of the potential to lose control of what's going on. Whatever that fear is exactly. If the manager is unaware of that fear is going to drive his decisions unintentionally. It's going to leak out. People are going to see it, right? So having a level of awareness, whether it's about your fears, your values, right? What are the things that are important to you, some of which you demand you have on a daily basis, but what are your values and how do they drive your decision? The other one is your mindset. Now, I talk a lot about something called the responsibility process. It's the way we humans react to problems. We're wired that way. We cannot help ourselves. We can be laying blame, where we think we have a problem, we perceive it, we might actually have a problem, and the cause of it is someone else. And we do this, we point the finger. Right? So we can be in late blame about a problem, but it's not going to fix the actual problem. We could be justifying, making excuses, same kind of thing. We're pointing to a circumstance this time to say that that's why this problem is here, and there's nothing I can do about it. We could be in shame, right? I'm not a good leader. I'm not good enough to do this, right? You're pointing to yourself saying, I'm not good enough. We could be in obligation, have to, don't want to. Now, the problem with obligation is, and shame actually, is we've been taught our whole life that you're a good person if you're doing that you're being responsible. The truth is, you're not. If you're in obligation or shame, you're not in a mindset of responsibility. You are still a good person, you're a normal person, and it's not going to resolve the problem that exists there. What we need to do to be flexible is go one step beyond that and own our power to create, choose, and attract what we want. To know we can have a discussion about working from home versus coming into the office, and know that no matter what, we'll work through this as a team, even if I step on my own toes. So leading yourself first. There's so many components to it, but it truly does start with you. And how are you showing up in your leadership or as an employee? Are you being rigid? Are you responding to your fears? Or are you being flexible? Are you being open, in other words, to other perspectives? So lead yourself first. Let's go to the second one here. Negotiate. So regardless of which side of this equation you're on, I think we all have a responsibility to have a conversation about this. So from a personal point of view, from the employee point of view, I get there's people who things have shifted for them throughout this pandemic. They see the world of work differently. They see their career differently. They see their family life differently. I know quite a few people who've also packed up and moved. You know, maybe they used to live in Toronto or even downtown Toronto, and they don't anymore. They live out in the country, somewhere around Toronto, but not within a commutable kind of distance. From the employer point of view, right? They were forced to be really open and flexible to work from home in the past, and they're coming to the table now and they're saying there's needs for the company. We would really like to see this happen. We would like that to happen. Whatever it is, maybe it's that their teams are getting back together in the same room and collaborating again. I truly believe there's some value, a lot of value derived just simply because people are in the room together. They collaborate differently. And so I think there's things on both sides of this equation. And if you're not talking about it, because that's what negotiation requires, if you're not talking about it, if you're not understanding each other's perspectives, if you're not finding what's the right mix in this answer, if you're not open to the other's perspective or ideas for how to accomplish something, right? You don't have flexibility. And so I know this is a negotiation from all sides. How do we create the best future world possible for both of us? And then lastly, let me go to the third thing here. Experiment. So I'm a big fan of something called Lean Change. If you haven't heard about it, look up a book called Lean Change Management by Jason Little, a friend of mine. Look up his book. Change, if you approach change, because that's what we're talking about here, rigidly, here's what we're going to do, here's how it has to be, the odds that change is going to have the kind of impact you think it will is not great. If you approach all change like an experiment, you're going to have a much higher level of success. And here's why. Sitting here today, you could negotiate, the last point, what you think is the right world going forward, how the teams are going to operate, how often they're going to be in the office, how often they're going to work from home, whatever it is. If you negotiate those things, those are based on your perception and perspectives today. If you approach everything like an experiment, right? Let's try working in the office one day a week. You can always change it later. Maybe you do 1 day a week and the team goes, you know what? We would really benefit from 2 days a week. Maybe you decide to do 2 days a week. And later, looking at the experience of that, you go, you know what? 1 day a week would be more than sufficient, right? If you approach everything like an experiment, you're much less likely, tangled tongue there, sorry about that. You're much less likely to stay married to that original plan you negotiated. Instead, you're going to improve upon it. You're going to drop the things that aren't working. You're going to add things that would help it, new experiments. So, 3 things. Start by leading yourself first. What are your mindsets? What are your fears? What are your values? What are the things that make you show up in the world like you do? Negotiate. Come together, right? The people and the management, and find the right answer for your team and experiment. Don't be afraid to drop the things that don't work, and try things that'll make it even better as you go. Flexibility, it's key in our world. Because as much as we think we have the future figured out, we don't. It's an illusion. And so when we're flexible, we're open to whatever might happen. So next week on Tuesday, July 27th, I'm going to be having a pop-up training, and we're going to dive deeper into this topic of flexibility. So check the comments. You'll find a link to it there. Hope to see everybody there. Flexibility, such a key thing for life, for leadership, for teamwork. Find it, right? Be flexible to whatever could happen. Have yourself a great Thursday, rest of the day, wherever you are and whatever you're doing. And I look forward to talking again tomorrow.